All right, welcome back. So we're going to continue along with the supervisor alignments here. And we're going to do now align NanoProbe. Okay, so now this is a little tricky here because we have the corrector, okay? So when you switch into NanoProbe mode, it's going through the corrector now, okay? So there's now again, if we didn't have the corrector, this would be a little bit different here, okay? But there's actually I don't want to say very little, but what we do through this panel here, or through the supervisor alignment is kind of minimal compared to what's done through S-Core here, okay? But anyways, we'll go ahead and go through this just so we can see it, okay? So we'll click basic NanoProbe. And one of the things I mentioned was that because we have the monochromator, right, with the SFEG, and we're in NanoProbe, we want to set the yeah, so you can see now. Let me show you this here. Okay, if I pull up S-Core here and I go to channels, exported elements. Okay, so you can see as I'm adjusting the beam shift, it's changing this here in S-Core. Okay, so this is what you have to be careful with. Okay, you want these zeroed out. Okay, you don't want anything exported to what's it called? From the microscope to the corrector. Okay, you want all this done through the corrector, or else you're going to have problems. Okay, so actually, I'm going to zero this out here. See if I can do this. Okay, and we'll do the same thing with the Y. Come on. There we go. Okay. So now if we want to move this, we need to use or beam shift here. Okay. Okay. So basically everything now, because we have the corrector, we have to go through S-Core, or otherwise we're adding exported elements. Okay. Now I don't believe, just so I'm looking at this. Okay, so when I adjust the intensity, it's not doing anything. But what I wanted to show you here actually was, I got a little sidetracked, is we need to set the monochromator differently. Okay, so this has to be set to positive focus now. Okay, because that's what we normally do when we're in NanoProbe mode, is we use positive focus to give us higher brightness and smaller probes. Okay, there we go. Okay. We already centered C2 aperture in the previous alignment, but we can do the same thing. We can just check it here again anyways, because it's asking us to do that. So again, you want to use user beam shift here. I'm going to drop my multiplier here, or my coarseness. Okay. Okay, yeah, and it looks good. It's centered. Okay. All right, so we're good there. Okay, so now here again, so if we're not careful, we go here to export elements. It's asking us to correct with the condenser stigmator. So you can see, whoops, no, user multifunction, not intensity. Right, so you can see this is changing here, okay? So if I actually pull up, minimize this, if I pull up the stigmator panel right here, okay, I can actually if I right click, I just click reset. Okay, now that should, no, it didn't put it back. Do we want to do this? No, it's changing it. So why didn't it reset it? It's not letting me change it. Okay, have to do it manually. Anyways, same idea, right? You want this to be zeroed out here, okay? And any changes to this we want to make, it needs to go through SCore. Okay, so we'll zero this out. There we go. Okay. All right. So I mean, it looks reasonable right now. What we would want here is we'd want to use ATA1. This is coarse. Again, you use bit multiplier 0 here for this. Can't tell if it's doing anything. Is it? Yeah, it is. Let me see if I bump this up, if it does anything. If I bump it to 3. Yeah, so you can see it's making it more elongated. This is where, yeah, so you can see it now. Switch to high res mode here. So now here's where it makes more sense to do the stigmating closer to crossover, because when you're in NanoProbe mode, right, you're okay, that looks good. So as we go back and forth there, it's staying the same. Okay, our exported elements there are okay. That's ATB2. So let's see, actually, is that in here? That's here. So I wonder if that's axial comma. Is that changing this? No, it's not. Oh, because I'm adjusting the wrong knob. Yeah, so this is actually here. Okay. So let me zero this out as well. It should be zeroed out. See if we can get this to be zeroed. Reset. Okay, it did it. Oh, that actually worked. Okay. Now, why is this ATA1 is still there? We switch that, reset it, that goes to 0 as well. Okay, perfect. So all of our exported elements are zeroed out now. Good. Okay. So we're fine there. Turn off high resolution mode. Okay, and now it's doing rotation center. So now here's where, again, we don't want to, if we're adjusting rotation center, we're gonna adjust the beam tilt here, okay? I'll adjust it so you can just see it here, right? So again, we don't want to do this. We want this to be zeroed out. Come on. There we go. Okay, perfect. Okay, all right. So in a lot of ways, right, what you're doing here is you're going through, again, because we have the corrector, and you're just kind of resetting everything inside of SCore, okay? All right, so we are good to go there. Now you notice that, like, unlike in TEM, or sorry, in HM, TEM, and LM, there is no option to set the objective lens, okay? That has to be done with when we have the probe corrector, that is done at the service level, okay? So that's not something that even at the supervisor level we can control. That has to be done at the service level itself, okay? So there's some things even at, the supervisor level we can't actually directly mess with. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and save this. All right, and then we'll go to the next one, which is MH mode. Okay, so it's asking us to center beam. And so again, we want to do this through S-core. Okay, spread the beam out. Okay, so the image is out of focus here, so we want to focus it with Z. So we're going to be deviating a little bit from eccentric, which is normal. That's normal when you switch from microprobe to nanoprobe, okay? So you can see very clearly we got under focus, right? Because we have a light fringe around the particles, so that means we want to go up with the Z. Okay, that looks pretty good right there. Yep, that looks good. Okay. You can see what happens around the edges here as we get closer to crossover, okay? This is why nanoprobe is not good for doing, high-res, conventional high-res work, okay? Because you don't have a very parallel beam. You have a very convergent beam, which is great for doing STEM, at least like high-resolution STEM. So, all right, go to next. Now it's going to put us into crazy MH mode here. Okay. So now this is different here. So this is in MH mode. I'm actually not gonna adjust this here, but basically it's just asking us to center the image. You know what I'm gonna do actually? I didn't keep track of where this was, because it's giving us a mag correction. All right, let me go back here. I don't like doing that, but let me do it anyway. But I didn't pay attention. Okay, so there's my. Let me move this to the center here. Okay, take a snapshot again, so I know what we're looking for. All right. Then we'll go into crazy high mag mode. Okay, so we're basically, now we're adjusting the magnification correction here. Okay, so we shouldn't be sending any exported elements to the corrector now. Okay, but just to make sure, yep, these are still all zeroed. And so we're good. Okay, now the image, this is different here, okay, than we're in MH mode. So, I mean, we can tweak this very slightly if we wanted to. I mean, it basically wasn't any different. So, okay, that looks good. So that sets it for MH mode. So this is different when we're in doing STEM. We're actually using the value that is in SA nanoprobe mode. Okay. All right. We have a slight movement there. Yeah, so this was, I think, 82.23 something when it was in SA mode. So, okay. All right. So I think we're basically done here. And again, this is less involved here than it would be if we didn't have the corrector. Okay. So we're going to click done. And that is Align NanoProbe when you have a CS probe corrector in the picture. All right, stay tuned for the next one.